There's a lot of moving parts here, people. There's a lot of moving parts. All right, we are officially live. Welcome to the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. I am so stoked to be back with you. I'm so pumped for this season. Season 4, we have so many incredible people on the schedule. And I'm not sure, Doc, if you went back in and looked at the Excel spreadsheet that I sent you guys, but man, this season is stacked with tons and tons and tons of amazing docs. Means great content, great value, all for you chiropractic students out there and docs that watch this as well. So with that being said, we are sitting down tonight with Dr. Elise Rigney. She is a chiropractor who is absolutely crushing it in Fort Collins, Colorado, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. Fort Collins, Colorado, and she is rocking and rolling and has been for many, many years. And she's going to tell us all of the secrets and systems and procedures and how to schedule and use social media. We're going to go into so many freaking things. It's going to be amazing. So before we actually let Dr. Elise introduce herself and actually sit down and have a discussion with you guys, I want to, first of all, for the first time ever, thank our sponsors. So with that being said, let's get this ball rocking and rolling. To Inspire Women is the elite boutique coaching company for chiropractors who are looking to live life and run business in a way that is personal, unique, and authentic. They focus on business systems and money mindset mastery so you can pay down debt, be more profitable, and serve more people. Their goal is to empower you to achieve success by your own rules and your own definition. Head to toinspirewomen.com now because they know there's a better way. Chiro HD, superior cloud-based practice management software. Chiro HD is a user-friendly, all-in-one EHR solution built with one mission: to help you run your practice like a boss. Learn more at chirohd.com. Total Clinic Solutions is your go-to source for purchasing both brand new and refurbished chiropractic equipment, as well as phone support for repairs and maintenance. Call Derek and allow him to combine your wishes and his 23 years of chiropractic equipment expertise to find what's best for you and your patients at 704-622-4089 or head to totalclinicsolutions.com now. It's time that chiropractors look beyond spinal alignments and measure the nerve connections that keep our patients feeling strong and performing at their peak. CLA designed the Insight scanning technologies to transform exams and generate powerful reports that give practitioners the certainty they have been searching for. Learn how CLA has partnered with practices around the world by going to insightcla.com. Spinal hygiene products are designed to educate your patients on the importance of lifetime spinal care. To learn more about how spinal hygiene products work and to download the patient education material for free, visit spinalhygiene.co. Again, that's spinalhygiene.co. Easily share your passion for chiropractic and look good doing it with Above Down Apparel, offering a premium lineup of principled apparel that's impossibly soft, sustainably sourced, and chiropractic AF. Visit abovedown.co and follow them on Instagram to learn more and score yourself some sweet chiro swag. Sked is the all-in-one system that allows for amazing control and flexibility of your scheduling. Yes, your next new hire. Every aspect of when and where you service your customers is at your command. Sked is tightly integrated with your existing EHR system. This software was made by a chiropractor specifically for chiropractic. No joke. Go check out their latest care plan feature by heading to go.sked.life/legendarypod. Health Business Builders covers every aspect of building a health business both online and in a brick and mortar environment. Dr. Dan Sullivan and Dr. Dave Toohill and their team will help you on a regular basis to develop an in-depth strategy, plan, and accountability to not only assemble a plan, but also make it happen. Head to healthbusinessbuilders.com so they can help you get the results you never thought were possible. Thank you for allowing this brief disruption to take place. And now back to the program. Rock on! Come on! Oh, that was awesome. All right, cool. Thank you to our sponsors. Now we are officially live on the Legendary Chiropractic Podcast. Dr. Elise, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about you, your chiropractic story, where you're from, and why chiropractic. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, first of all those sponsors, I think I am a client to most of them. Derek with Total Clinic Solutions, I have bought 7 tables from, and he's incredible. Yeah, like all Omni tables. And then obviously to Inspire, I work with Dr. Janice Hughes, and they're just incredible. A phenomenal team, as you know.
Yep.
Coaches. But yeah, I won't even keep going because it's, CLA, everything. I could just keep going with all them. But yeah, so I'm Dr. Elise Rigney. I like that you say I've been doing this for years because I opened my practice when I was 25 years old, and I felt like a baby for so many years, and I would wear I'd shop at Ann Taylor in the loft and try to wear older lady clothes so that people wouldn't think I was this little young doctor. So, I thought they'd trust me more with these big old cardigans and stuff. But anyways, I was actually a CA before going to chiropractic school, and I went to the University of Minnesota, was a CA for a practice of 3 doctors. So there were 3 partners in the practice, principal practice. Thankfully got a lot of experience with different practice management groups with that clinic. They did tell me to go to Northwestern, so I ended up going to Northwestern. Maybe not the best advice, but everything happens for a reason. And while I was in school at Northwestern, I did a lot of marketing with different practices. What's funny is when I was a CA, I was practicing before that was the days of travel cards and really old school practices before electronic health records and all the different systems we have now. So I got to practice that way, and then I got to open in a more digital world. And at Northwestern, I did a lot of marketing, a lot of screening for 15 different practices in the Twin Cities. Thankfully, started the Green Books Club at Northwestern, coming from a practice. You were a CA beforehand, right?
Yes.
Yes. So coming from a practice, a principled practice, and getting into school, you think everyone's on fire for chiropractic, and little do you know, you're like, gosh, some of these people have never been adjusted before. So it was a bit of an uphill battle, but I really think a lot of my student experience, I think what you do is incredible, Johnny, and how involved you are in chiropractic at this point, because I think I can contribute the majority of my success to what I did as a student. And it's interesting because when I interviewed quite a few doctors this summer, students coming out of school were told in their interviews that their experience as a student really didn't matter. And I couldn't disagree more, because I think looking at how motivated someone is as a student, how many clubs they're getting involved in, how many different conferences they're going to, especially sometimes on their own dime, is tells you how much of a passion they have for chiropractic, because kind of crazy for some of the stuff that we do. Anyways, opened up. I went down to Texas, interned down there, and then my husband and I moved up here to Fort Collins, Colorado, not knowing anyone. He's not a chiropractor, but he started as my CA. And we opened up Impact Chiropractic in 2012, and just on a shoestring budget. I unfortunately have never had help from family or friends or anything like that. So while I was in school, I wrote my business plan. It took me a couple of years, but once I took it to the bank, it was a really solid business plan. And we were profitable the first month in practice, and I really think it's because I had to be. There was no backup plan, no one was going to bail me out at all. And then grew my practice. Within 6-7 months, I hired my first associate, who was actually from my school. So he was, we graduated in the same class. And that was great. I was able to, I think 2 years later, have a baby, go on maternity leave. I've had another baby since. And that maternity leave was great. I'm really involved in different women chiropractor groups. And I'd say a lot of women work up until the day that they, sometimes go into labor while they're adjusting patients, and then come back a week or 2 later. And I'm just really grateful to have been able to build the team that I have so that our patients are taken care of and in phenomenal hands while I'm gone. And now we're just at this point where we're adding hopefully another doctor by the end of the year, and then possibly another one in the following year. So I love chiropractic. I've been involved with lots of different groups. I've been mentors in different practice management groups. And now I guess I'm just like, I like to say I'm like the happy medium of like, I don't take sides. I don't take bias in different groups in chiropractic. I think I have friends in every single type of practice management group or technique or friends of all types. Love Mile High because it's in my state of Colorado. And then I'm really involved in my community. I think once I took a step back from coaching and mentoring and leading Zoom calls and being on the phone all the time, like that just wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to find some really solid groups and collaborations in the town that I live in and really dive into my team more too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself, telling us a little bit background of who you are and where you come from. And I love hearing people's chiropractic, their journey, right? That chiropractic journey that we all go on, school, and then some people take a gap year or years and go into different careers and then find chiropractic later on, or go, high school, undergrad, chiropractic school, and then like you opened a practice at the age of 25. Like that's pretty awesome. So kudos to you. And just so everyone knows, Dr. Elise is extremely successful, and like she mentioned briefly that we'll talk about later in this episode is the fact that she is going to be looking for a new hire. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And she's just hiring people left and right, and she's just blowing Fort Collins up, which is amazing. And so couple things I want to touch on because I like to recap on things that people say a little bit. So the U of M, I have a funny story about this, and you'll like this.
Okay.
It was like my dream school. Okay, so the U of M was like the place that I wanted to go. I'm from Chicago originally, and I was like, yes, I want big school, I want Midwest. U of M is it, and U of M meaning University of Minnesota, not Madison, Wisconsin. And so I was like, this is it. This is the place I got to be. I submitted my application super early, applied to the kinesiology program, and I heard nothing back. And I was like, this is weird. I haven't gotten denied, and I haven't gotten accepted, and I've heard absolutely nothing ever from these people. And so I call 6 months before school's about to start, 6 months before undergrad starts. And I'm like, I haven't really heard from you guys. Can you tell me like what's going on with my application? And they're like, what's your name? And I told them my name and everything. And they were like, oh, and then they're like, what is your social? And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, what is your social? And so I gave it to them, and they were like, oh, that's the problem. They messed up my social security number by 1 digit.
Oh my goodness.
I was never processed. I was never in their system. I never existed at the U of M ever. So yeah. So I in 6 months I was like, oh my gosh, I have to find a school. I have to figure out where I'm going, and I had to figure this out like now, right? So that was my funny story. When you said that, I was like, oh, I gotta tell her this. Like this is hilarious. So yeah.
You ended up in Wisconsin.
I did end up in a Midwest school, University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire, which is a beautiful school, great place. But yeah, it was like heart-wrenching. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? But now back to the chiropractic talk. Chiropractic talk is what this podcast is all about. And so the student experience, like you said, and I had Dr. Stu Warner and Teresa Warner on last season, at the end of the last season, and they talked about their student experience and how beneficial and critical it truly is to the advancement of your entire chiropractic career. And so, like you said, it kind of gave you the leaps and bounds ahead of your classmates coming right out of chiropractic school to open up your own practice. And like you said, not necessarily feel confident or comfortable, but at least be confident enough to say, I want to open my own practice. Boom, here we go. Doors are open. Profitable first month. That's amazing. And then the last thing is like, it's amazing what you don't know as a student. But the more, like you said, the more you get involved in things, the more you go to clubs, the more you go to conferences, the more you listen to podcasts, the more you engage with coaches and speaking to different people like yourself. That's how you enrich that student experience to really drive your success later on in life. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think you have, as a student, you have such a great opportunity to get into different groups at really low, sometimes no cost.
Mm-hmm.
Where once you're a doctor, it's like flip the script, you're paying thousands of dollars for something you could have got for a fraction of the price as a student. I do think like right now there's more groups that maybe prey on students more. And so I don't think I really had to be super cautious of that. I know
Mm-hmm.
there were like a couple groups when I was a student, I graduated in 2011, that, would try to have you like open up centers for them and sign contracts and whatnot. And I, had a lot of fellow students who did that and unfortunately haven't had the best side of things in regards to that. So I think probably there's like more walls that have to be up or like boundaries that have to be set or being more cautious of that now as a student. But at the same time, like taking advantage of anything that you can without permanently signing your name on a line where you're going to be committed for the rest of when you become a DC
Yeah.
is incredibly important. And for me, I'm a 3 on the Enneagram. I'm an achiever. And so once I got to grad school, I'm like, there's like nothing to do except study. Why wouldn't you go to all these other things? Like why wouldn't you just like study on a plane to a conference or, like I just didn't understand why you wouldn't get better at adjusting and go to all the different technique clubs. And gosh, when you could take the ICPA as a student, I'm telling you, I only got to take half of it as a student and then I had to fly everywhere else.
Wow.
Which in hindsight, I was able to take Webster at Jeannie Ohms and she had us over for dinner. We had a little party. Like looking back at that, like gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
But the students who can come out, like one of our docs in here, Dr. Laura, she came out already done with the ICPA and ready to see kids and families.
That's awesome. Yeah, there are so many opportunities for students, and we just need to take advantage and really look at what's for us, right? What speaks to you. If you go to something and you don't like it, that's okay. It's
Right.
not, no one's telling you or forcing you to be there or stay there or be involved with this or that. Just take it for what it's worth and say, okay, they're providing value for other students or other people who are interested in this technique or club or organization. That's fine. Not for me. Move on. Right.
Right. Making those connections is so important too.
Exactly.
Because later on, you don't know when you're going to meet someone. Like I had someone who was kind of more of like a MediPractor that I graduated with, who's now a DAC bar, and I can reach out to him. He has caught some things that I'm like, thank God I have you in my life. You know, he doesn't practice chiropractic per se, but it's like just the fact that I have him as like a relationship from school and didn't write him off because he was different than me.
Right.
Is beneficial later on,
100%.
Those connections.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes, as they like to say. So we're going to talk about the topics of tonight are planning 2020 marketing calendar, collaborating, micro-influencers, community leaders, and then systems and the efficiency of systems and how they can be effective in your office and your practice someday. So let's start with the 2020 marketing calendar because honestly, right now, I'm working on my 2020 marketing calendar and it's a struggle. So help me out with what to do practice-wise as well as what can, you don't necessarily have to touch on that, but like what can students be doing now to start thinking about these ideas for their practice, right? So go ahead.
Totally. So I love that you're working on it now because you and nobody else is doing that. I always start mine in October, and last year I posted on social media. I take like a big calendar, like the big desk ones, and I will push pin it into the office at my home office, and I'll have like a whole wall of calendar. And I posted a picture of that last year on social media, and everyone's like, "You're giving me anxiety. It's October. How are you doing that?" Like so much of marketing, like you need to have planned out at least 6 weeks in advance, and that's not going to happen around the holidays. Because you are preoccupied with all the other events that are happening at that time. So starting in October is ideal to me, November at the latest. And then once you get a team together, like you as the business owner or whoever your partners or whoever you're collaborating with other doctors in your practice, getting together and planning all of that out beforehand before you bring it to the team is really important too, because you can have vision weekends, but I think you personally need to have vision weekends beforehand. And when I'm planning out my 2020 calendar, it's a lot of personal stuff first. I think there's a couple of things that need to be defined before anything. So number one, your personal goals. and dividing that into different areas, whether it's like faith, family, fitness. I like to categorize. I actually am in a high-level mastermind group, and we each month go through and rate ourselves on where we're at on career, health, money or financial, fun, and love. And so like family falls under love. You know, you categorize them however you want, but defining your core values beforehand is really important too. Brene Brown has a great book where she gets you to break it down from like your list of 15 core values down to 2. Dr. Janice Hughes does some great work with this as well. And making sure before, like if you're putting something on that calendar, you have to ask yourself if it aligns with your core values. And those are, especially with the personal ways that you're spending your time, is this bettering me, or is this maybe making me complacent, or am I doing it because I feel like I have an obligation to someone else or to a group, or we do it every year, yada, yada. So the core values. And then when you're in practice, really digging into and defining your ideal patient or your ideal practice member. I say patient, whatever, but whatever you want to call them. So defining your ideal patient and getting down to the nitty gritty, the details of what's their name, what's their spouse's name if they're married, what are their kids' names, how old are they, what do they drive, where do they shop, where do they go on the weekends. Like my ideal patient, I get down to she has a glass of wine 3 nights a week after she puts the kids to bed. And knowing exactly like where you can find them in town, what Instagram pages they might be following. So who those micro-influencers we'll talk about in a while might be. So their interests, but really defining that so that you know that your marketing lines up with that. And then looking at the calendar, looking ahead, what I do, I guess I'll just tell you is in October, so next weekend actually, I get a hotel room to myself at a nice hotel, room service. I go all out. It's kind of funny because I have kids, and so like every year when I'm like nursing, my husband has to bring the baby to the hotel room. And I get a hotel room close to our house, so it's like kind of still home, but I'm able to really focus. The first year I did it, I had like the big Mac desktop. I literally still had the box from Apple, and I brought that whole desktop to the hotel room. I got a suite, so I had an office and hung up my big calendar. And that's a time where I do vision work, and I just make sure my core values are still aligned. Look if there's anything I need to modify. I also keep a list in my phone all year round of ideas because I have my calendar planned out for a year. Of course, we can modify, especially seasonally or quarterly. We'll be modifying our events based on like how it worked last year or what maybe changed in our community or something else that might have changed in our clinic or our practice. But the beginning of the year is the best time to make changes in your team meeting or your annual meeting that you have with your team. So whether it's with marketing or whether it's with, we're going to raise prices, or we're going to start doing a progress exam at this visit instead of this visit, or a prenatal doctor's report differently, or switch from PowerPoint to Prezi, or whatever it might be, any change or like I think of it as leveling up that we want to make, January 1st is the best time to make it. Policies that change, whatever it might be. So I always keep that going in my calendar. I also try to follow other businesses that are not within chiropractic, that are within my ideal patients realm. So different bloggers, different even like Etsy stores, that sort of stuff. So I can see what they're doing. I look at their collections because there's collections that change that we can bring into our marketing, like a Father's Day collection, a Mother's Day collection, seasonal collections, that sort of stuff. I'm really cautious also with holidays within our practice because we are accepting of all patients. I don't talk about politics or religion or really anything that would make anyone feel unwelcomed here or felt like my bias was pressed upon them. I'm even cautious with vaccines unless people are asking me questions about it. I'm not pressing any issue because to me, allowing us to lay our hands on them is the most important thing above anything else. So I'm also cautious with that with holidays, that they're not too, like Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't celebrate holidays, even their birthdays. So we make sure that we're not having like any auto text or anything like that sending out, or that we're not going to we'll do fall celebrations and festivals and decorations and that sort of stuff instead of Halloween decorations everywhere. So just being really mindful and intentional with the internal marketing and external that you're doing as well. So when you're looking at that big calendar or a small calendar, however you're aligning it, going through and like the easiest thing to do right away is mark like days that your clinic's going to be closed, or like, I guess as a student, like when you're going to be off of school. Those can be really intentional times for your family time, for fun, for travel, for if you have to like, I wrote my ICPA exam during one of that. That is hella hard. Have you heard that?
Yes, I have heard it's very challenging.
I feel like I deserve like a master's degree or something like that, because that was so hard. I passed it the first round, but I'm like, my God, I was at the coffee shop all the time.
Yeah.
So like just planning out when you're going to have a break instead of it being like, oh, I've got a 4-day weekend coming up. Maybe I'll just Netflix, like something that's just kind of like mindless and not really getting you towards your goals. If you would have known that break was coming up or would have thought about it, honestly, a year in advance, you could have intentionally planned some events there. And then also like any important dates for you. So like if you know weddings are coming up, if you know you're going to be traveling to certain conferences, and this is a good time to reevaluate what chiropractic conferences or business conferences you went to the year before and decide like, maybe what were the effects from that, or how did it go, or are they going to be the same speakers again this year? Are they new speakers? Is it someone I've been wanting to see? I've been really wanting to branch out and work on my social media content strategy. So I want to go to more of a social media based event, whatever it might be, looking at what your goals are. So you would have already defined your goals for that coming year and intentionally choose your conferences based off of that. Instead of like, when I was a student, I'm just like, oh, this conference is coming up. Let's buy plane tickets. I didn't even like pay attention to that sort of stuff. And honestly, like I didn't until I had kids. And now I'm super selective because I want to make sure my time away from my children is time that is going to either fuel me as a doctor or personally, just to get me towards my goals or to be a better person or a better chiropractor or a better leader. So intentionality with all of that. And then going through and entering any personal goals you have in there that would be time sensitive. Like if there's a half marathon you want to run and it's at a certain time, knowing like, okay, it's going to be August 8th. So that means I need to plan my training for 12 weeks out from there, which is going to be May or whatever that would be. And then get that documented. And if you're not committed to that stuff yet, that's okay. Use Post-it notes and plug it in, because you might need to rearrange and be like, you know what? Summer's really busy. I have a ton of marketing events going on. I'm actually going to try to do the turkey trot or whatever it might be. But again, like you're intentional in what you're doing and you're planning out that year in advance. So also taking your projections. So this is the time that you're going to do your projections for the following year. So I look at, now I've been in practice 7 years, and I have all of my new patient numbers, all of my collection numbers, all of my patient visit numbers. I look at it monthly. We look at it, all the time because we go through it every Monday meeting and that sort of stuff. But when I'm planning, I'm looking at it monthly. I'm calculating percentage of growth that we've had from each year, or maybe, not as much growth, or we've never decreased, thank God. But, just like what percentage we're growing and what months we're seeing. There's some months we have 100 new patients, and then there's other months like February where we're significantly lower. And so those months that I know where those 100 new patients are coming from, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do those same events. I'm going to do the same promotions or whatever we did because it works. And hopefully we have those months that we've done 7 years in a row. So we know it works. Some of them we've just doubled up how we do it too, to bring our numbers to the next level. But then you can intentionally look at those months that are lower. So be it months with holidays or be it winter, whatever it might be. For us, summer is super busy. Other chiropractors stay it slow. But we will put in more internal marketing or social media marketing or themes around these times too, so that we know how we can meet those projections. So calculating what percentage of growth you're going to have the following year and figuring out what those new patient numbers are and how you're going to get there. So you really have to do a lot of reverse engineering, and then you can start planting those marketing events in there.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. It's awesome. I absolutely love everything that you discussed. And I want to first we're going to thank our some more of our sponsors, but I want to break down. I took amazing notes. So I want to break down what you said for people, because I think it's so important that people start now for the future, especially for the full year, like you said. Yeah. So we're going to get right into that after this short break. Every chiropractic clinic needs a compliance program. If you are not sure what that includes or why you need one, let Dr. Robin from RHDC Consulting help you build your chiropractic compliance. If you are ready to get started, head to robin-hale.mykajabi.com and let Dr. Robin guide you to the end result. Imaging Services' primary business is chiropractic solutions. With over 45 years in the industry of helping chiropractors, Michael Tokash offers free consultations on building your business. In the past year, Imaging Services has installed over 100 X-ray machines and digital X-ray systems in over 42 states across the United States. For more, head to theimagingservices.com. The 56-day chiropractic boot camp, building badass female chiropractors who are instinctively successful. Head to 56daychirobootcamp.com/legendary for your free endless referrals cheat sheet now. Thank you for allowing this brief disruption to take place. And now back to the program. Rock on. Cool. All right. So with all of that being said, thank you to our sponsors. And I am going to break down a little bit of what I took away from Dr. Elise's chat there about marketing in 2020 and planning out for the future here with calendar, no matter what size. I said calendar because I was going to say huge calendar, but whatever size you want. Yeah. I also prefer my iPhone for iCal. I use iCal for everything. I'm like, hey, what's your email? Let me send you an iCal invite. It's like, that's how
So once you get it on paper, then you go through and get everything digital. But then you also need to have reminders pop up. So if you have an event coming, you need to have a reminder 6 weeks before that event that pops up so that you can delegate tasks out, who's doing flyers, who's doing a social media ad, getting all of that divided out so that it's actually getting promoted and the marketing for the marketing event is happening. Yes. And that is digital is key for that. I don't think paper really works out too well for that.
For reminders, it just jumps out.
Yeah.
No, yes, I agree with you. I use reminders and my iCal for almost everything that I do in my life. Every single second of the day is pretty much planned out through that and with reminders and everything. But it also helps you keep organized, right? I mean, I'm going to jump into what you were saying is because it's you're planning a full year here, right? You're planning 2020. This is not some small leap into the future. This is okay, here is 1 through 12 months, right? And here's what we're doing each month, here's what we're doing each week, and here's what we're doing each day. And then, like you said, you can add different sticky notes and things because you're going to have to modify things. I want to make note that Dr. Elise mentioned if you're going to modify your marketing calendar, it's best to do it early on. If you're going to edit any policies or systems or procedures or billing circumstances, that is best to do at the beginning of the year. I thought that was a really, really critical point for docs out there listening and watching this, either now or later, to hear that information, because I feel like a lot of people get to mid-year and they're just scrambling to reschedule everything, or they're like, ooh, I felt now is a good time to do a price bump, and it's oh, how are your patients going to respond to that, right? They have to pay taxes too. They have to do all of these different things. They have to plan for their future. And so it's you got to think, like you said, be all inclusive, not only politics, religion, and all of that stuff, but also just people's minds and how they operate on a day-to-day basis, because we're in the 21st century. We're all very busy all the time, right? It's an honor that people are willing and able to come into your office and have you adjust them. Right. So that's something to be grateful for. So Doc, any last remarks on the 2020 marketing calendar?
So the only thing I would say is you can go through, you can print out the different events that or I don't know, the day of like ADHD Awareness Month is October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, like all of that sort of stuff, and plug it in and see if it's fitting for your practice and your style of practice. Because of our ideal practice member, what we like to do is, like, just last month, actually, if you go and check out our Instagram, so our handle is @Impact Chiropractic. It was, yes, on October 11th, it was International Day of the Girl. So we honored, I want to say 9 girls within our practice. We got them really cute gifts. They came in and they got showered a little bit by us. And then we have, they each got featured on social media. So their parents and their parents' friends and grandma and all of them are sharing that on Facebook mostly. But then, of course, it's on Instagram too. And so also, like, looking at what's happening within society, like when our NBA finals or March Madness or Super Bowl or even like Frozen 2 is coming out November 22nd. So we hired, and Elsa came last year to our practice. It was like an amazing event. We had a line of people up before we opened the door. But Elsa's coming back to us the day that, I think it's the day Frozen opens. She's coming and she does a performance, and we market that to the community. Mm-hmm. And so just looking at like what aligns and what's different than, like today's Day of the Spine, right? Or like Happy Spine Day or whatever. Which is cute, but like that's not something that everyone is following, where like if you have young kids, when Frozen 2 comes out, like that date. So things that are relevant and happening within your community or within society, I'd say follow along with that too, and really stay within your niche, your target market's niche.
Yeah. And like one of our professors here at Life University, Dr. Drew Rubin, he loves to say, get on their level, right? If a kid's talking to you about Paw Patrol, you better know the characters of Paw Patrol. Otherwise, you're seen as this outside person who's unrelatable and just another, person in this kiddo's life. You're not actually there with them and for them, right? And that changes the whole dynamic of care, I would argue. And that would get us on a way longer tangent than we're willing to go down right now. But I want to get into our second topic, which we kind of talked about a little bit with marketing and Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and that's collaboration, micro-influencers, and community leaders. So talk to us a little bit about what you mean by all of those things, because I don't think a lot of people understand or have heard of micro-influencers before, and they might think like, an Instagram influencer or something like that, but just clear the air on that one for us and really explain that in depth for us.
Okay. Do you know what a micro-influencer is?
I don't think I really do.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know. And like, no one really needs to know about it unless you're trying to connect with micro-influencers. So we've all seen like the influencers on Instagram, like Kim Kardashian. She gets paid to sell skinny tea or whatever it might be, and she'll like the big influencers will get $1 million for doing a promo. And what experts are finding now is that influencers are where it's at, because they have more of an engagement rate. I think it's like less than 1,000 followers don't quote me on this. These are, I'm making up Cairo numbers here now. No, it was like an 8% 8% engagement rate for those with less followers. And then from 1,000 to 10,000 is like a 4.5% engagement rate. But anyways, once you get over 100,000, it's like less than 1% actual engagement rate. So micro influencers are technically defined as influencers. I'm talking more Instagram with this, but with followers between 1,000 and 100,000. That's a big gap there. What we've found is best for us are those with followers between 5,000 and 30,000. So I kind of fell into this because I am, like I said, when I left mentoring within chiropractic, I got really involved in my community. And I got involved in this high-level mastermind with other female business owners in my community. So I'm really tightly, I guess, connected with other female business owners in our community that some of them are Instagram influencers. So some of my friends have over 30,000 followers. One of them has a car that she drives every single month because she's an influencer for a dealership in town. So they are getting connected in all different ways. And thankfully, all of them really come in as patients, and they will just naturally put on their stories and tag us. And we started to see how many patients were coming in because of this. And then we started to make connections with, last February, I hired a PR person to help with, we do Wine, Women, and Wellness every February, right after Valentine's Day. And it's big. I mean, it is big. We had 150 people last year, women at it. And it's a great night for us. But what we added last year was, with this PR person, she connected with different influencers in the area, and then also like radio show hosts and different media companies. And we had a separate VIP section with, like, we gave them a zip drive with all the information for PR. We had our own hashtag for them, and like big promo bags and all of that sort of stuff. Their own VIP section with fuller services, free gifts, that sort of stuff. But I guess that's how it kind of started, with starting to realize like how many new patients you can get from influencers on Instagram. Now, if you're like, I just taught in Wisconsin a couple weeks ago, and some of these women have practices in towns of like 3,000. So I realized this might not be as beneficial for some of those towns. But there's also different things you can take away from this, or different collaborations you can make in town with other business owners too. Collaborations with business owners, so not talking Instagram, but kind of, because it's still with social media, we will do different giveaways. So our last one was with, we don't do them too often, but our last one was with a nail salon in town, and a clean beauty company, and a sandwich shop, and they have beer and microbrews and all that sort of stuff, and then fitness festival. So we gave away, I think, our new patient special. So I never give away an adjustment, just so you know. I never have. I don't. We'll talk about that in Simplicity of Systems. But even with our influencers, we're not giving it away. They are paying for care too. But we will have them sign contracts when they come in as influencers to what they're committing to, as well, for promotions for us. And we'll do giveaways for them with, like, we have camping mugs and T-shirts and CBD face masks and all that sort of stuff that we'll do giveaways for. But when we collab with other businesses in town, that's when we'll do a big giveaway where they're giving away a facial and a nail manicure or whatnot, fitness festival tickets and beer and an entree. And so we will have, essentially, people will get entered to win by tagging 3 of their friends, and they have to like all of our businesses' pages. And so we gain more followers on our Instagram. They're all local, because it's a local restaurant, it's a local fitness festival, it's a local salon. And we're able to build our list that way too. So that's a great way to collaborate with other businesses in town and still make sure you're hitting at least your area, but ideally like the demographics and target market that you're looking for. And then with influencers, you can actually do, you can search hashtags that align with your practice or your ideal patient. So like with us, it's like natural mamas, or like, it just depends if it's, I actually hired someone to do all of our hashtag research, of which it's mostly moms, natural moms, crafty moms. There's a couple that are into certain supplements, beauty, fitness, that sort of stuff. So kind of what aligns there, home decor, and then start following those hashtags. And there's some more hashtag work you can do around that. But with micro influencers, you can reach out to them and they can actually show you who their followers are, their engagement rate. So if they are usually like over 10,000, they might actually already have a social media package they'll give you. And ideally, if you can give something away to their followers and then give something to that influencer too, or ideally they become a patient, you can start to build your practice that way too.
How cool is that?
Yeah,
that's awesome. Because, you know, I went to Cairo Sushi BDC summer camp, and there was a guy, I forget his name, but he talked all about Instagram and how people can start using hashtags, you know, because it's SEO, it's search engine optimization for Instagram, and how you can start searching all this stuff. And it was super cool to hear about how, you know, social media is really impacting people's practices and how powerful it can be. And this is definitely a brand new strategy to me, and understanding like more and more of how you can reach out locally. And I think that's really big, because I think a lot of us sit back and we look at this grand scheme of things, right? And we're like, oh my gosh, how do I get so-and-so with 200 or 500,000 followers to promote or share something of mine, you know? And it's like, that's not who we should be after, right? It should be not necessarily after, but that's not who we should be involved with. We should be involved with, like you said, the people who have like 5 to 30,000 followers was best for you guys. But you said anywhere between 1,000 and 100,000. So you got to kind of figure out what works best for you. And so I think that's really, really cool. And the fact that you're utilizing their efforts and their techniques to go out and do community outreach, and then using your smarts to say, hey, help us get our name out there, right? Our face and our brand out there. I think that's genius. I think it's absolutely awesome. I'm so glad you shared that with us.
It's something you can start doing as a student too. Like if you know what community you're going to be in, add those businesses that align with you, with the chiropractic lifestyle, with your ideal patient that you're thinking of at this moment, and start following them, start liking their posts, start engaging on their posts, start engaging on their stories. So stories is really where it's at too, because you can start polling your patients if you're like, hey, we want to host a party. Would this date or this date be better? Or, hey, we're going to celebrate in the office. We're thinking this food, or this food. And like just getting them, does anyone know a good, like we have a local artist wall display in our office. And so when we flip over to different artists, just who do you know that's local that you'd like to see their art displayed or on sale in our office. So like engagement in honestly any sort of way on Instagram is awesome. And then our influencers. So you definitely want to make sure they're not like bot followers. I heard that Instagram is going to be taking that away. Like pretty soon you'll just see all of a sudden all these followers drop off. And then also they're going to take away like the like button. So you can still see who likes your stuff, but other people can't see how many likes you have.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yep.
Yeah. So stories and even Facebook stories, I can't believe how much more engagement is happening on Facebook because of the Facebook stories that just come from your Instagram anyways. And then being able to share when your patients are in and they start to see it's cool to put you on their story, then you can just share their post too.
Yep.
So there's so much engagement that can happen there, but I think there's a lot of involvement you can do now before you join a practice, open a practice, or join a community to really get engaged now and get connected.
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely love it. That was awesome. I'm going to go back and listen to that over and over again because I have to start, implementing some of this for my future practice, right? So that's the exact thing. It's like I watch all of these again because I'm like I have to know this stuff, right? This is gold. These are gold. I wouldn't even call them nuggets. Nuggets is too small. These are like gold. I don't even know what is bigger than gold cars. I don't know what's bigger than nuggets. Gold potatoes, maybe. I don't know. Potatoes on my mind. So let's go on to systems. Let's jump into systems efficiency and effectiveness. I want you to talk about. You mentioned briefly in the description we shared on Facebook, our social post, how to lay your head down at night and know you have a business with integrity and value. So that this topic clearly means something to you. So talk to us about why that's so important for chiropractors to be able to lay their head down and say, I'm at ease with what happened today and my business.
Yeah, and I think that's something, integrity is one of my core values personally and one of Impact Chiropractic's core values. And so everything I do say, I want it to be with integrity. I want it to be completely truthful. Like I'm the type of person, I don't have time for someone who tells white lies or, and that's why like for me coming out of school, I just knew a cash practice was simple, clean, just everything that I listened to Ryan Bowen's actually interview with you and he was in insurance and I was like, oh my God, like the whole headache he was talking about. I'm like, it's not worth it. Like, it's not. You're going to have haters. You're going to have patients who will never choose chiropractic again because of the insurance issues they had at your office. And that's the truth, And so to be able, like when I said, lay your head down at night and know that what you've done has been with integrity and value is really important. To be able to go home and just know, like, I don't need to sit there and stress and I didn't have any issues within the office and everything. All of our notes are done. Like, I can't believe how many people are doing notes weeks later or whatnot. So coming up with systems that allow you to have your notes done right away. And obviously a lot of them come down to technology. But I do want to touch specifically on financials because this is kind of a tricky topic because we have like different speakers on stage within the chiropractic profession, especially when you're at more vitalistic events. And then, you start to work for those doctors or you start to get relationships with those doctors and you almost see like behind that black curtain. Or you have patients or practice members that come from those practices and they're like, oh, well, I was paying $27 for an adjustment at Dr. So-and-so's. And I'm like, what the F? I cannot believe how many hardships are given out, how many like different numbers that doctors are charging for their care. I don't even know how you keep track of that, honestly. When I was a CA in that practice, it was like they were in network with one insurance company, but still sometimes they'd come out of the doctor's report and be like, this person owes this much. And I'm like, where did that number come from? Like, if you can't have balanced books and be able to, if a patient calls that day, give them an answer of where they're at in their care plan or whatever it might be. If someone asks for a refund, because that does happen, knowing exactly where they're at and what you need to do with that is so important. And that's really like, it comes down to being a good business owner and being professional. Mm-hmm. And for us, it's everyone pays for the adjustment. Everyone's on a care plan. I shouldn't say that. We will allow pay per visit, but it's significantly higher pricing. But it's not multiple different amounts for each person.
Right.
It's one price, and then there's a second family member discount and a third family member discount, and that's it. So it's very, very simple bookkeeping. If we were ever audited, which I don't see that happening when you're not in network with insurance, but if we ever were, I know that everything's completely clean. Mm-hmm. Having an escrow account, like that's really important in certain states, so that if you have people doing prepays, that you're not spending that money before they've used those services. And that's something that back in Minnesota, a lot of doctors got caught on and ended up, I don't know if it was like board complaints because of it or what it was, but that's really important. Just the multiple prices and like the boost adjustments for $10 or seeing kids for free, like all of that, like people are going to pay full price. That's all I can say. And if they're shopping around for the cheapest, like they probably aren't your ideal patient or practice member. And then creating systems like I've had when I was interviewing doctors over the summer, I had a couple of doctors come in who wanted to work here and they observed and they were like, do your CAs have to do anything? Like besides talk to the patients and hold babies and that sort of stuff? Because our systems are so solid that everyone's on a care plan. Everyone has monthly payments or a pay in full. If they are pay per visit, which I said is like significantly higher, like our people who travel for work and are only here, seasonally or whatever it might be, saving their credit cards on file so that once they walk in, you just auto run it. So it's never that like cash in hand over the counter or swiping a card or anything like that. And then, like I said, a lot of it comes down to different systems that you have. So an electronic health system that is accurate, that you have your macro set up, that you have swipe cards, that your patients know exactly what to do because you've toured them and you've had a concierge take them around the clinic so that they know what they're doing the whole time. And they're efficient when they're in there as well, so people aren't waiting around. Texting, that's been huge for us. So not just text reminders, but being able to have that two-way text so that we can have authentic conversations with the patients as well, too. And then content strategy tools that will systemize your business too, like with your social media, using Buffer, using Plan with 2 N's, Planoly. Slack is a really great inter-office communication, and then having different channels on there too that can increase office morale. So we have like a hashtag warm fuzzies, which is one of our channels. So that's where we'll give like warm fuzzies to other team members when they did something that was, something we want to celebrate, or even if it's something really small too, that just makes them feel warm fuzzies. And we have like gifts on there, which is fun to be able to like express things, like we're able to text each other during shift, except obviously on the desktop too. And then shared calendars. So you mentioned like your iCalendar. We all have our own Gmail accounts and then office accounts. So I can have my personal Gmail that is with the office, all of our office events, with the reminders that will go out to the right people. Podio is another great way, or Asana or Trello, some sort of office management or project management tool too. And then Cozy is a great one for me personally with my kids' schedules. And my husband's a realtor, so it's like closings and showings and all of that are at different random times, days, weekends, it doesn't matter. So he can pull up and see my office calendar, my personal calendar. I can put to-do lists in there. I can put grocery lists. I can have for my personal assistant, a list for her, a list for our nanny, whatever it might be. So it will auto text them those lists of what I might need done that week or that day or whatever it is. So just having tools within your disposal that create simplicity within your office is so important.
Yeah.
And like I'd say like some of the old school stuff we kind of hang on to would be like handwritten cards. I like to gift when it's unexpected. So with our patients, like I'm trying to think, like I had a patient who she made varsity and she's a freshman. Volleyball. So I went and ordered her like a nice little charm bracelet, a little volleyball and a little like girl power and all of that sort of stuff. And her parents were bawling. Her dad's like the, thick-skinned engineer man, and he just started crying. We had some patients who were getting married, and so I went on Etsy and bought her like one of those hangers that have like the Mrs. last name, and she took photos with it with her wedding dress hanging, like just that sort of stuff that it's individual to that patient, but it's unexpected is just really fun to do, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I love it. You dropped so much value in this podcast. I cannot thank you enough for that. I knew that you were going to be absolute fire. You're going to bring content. You're going to bring value to the podcast, and you did exactly that. So systems, I want to just sum it up as this. Systems make it simple. And that is, it might be difficult as I'm coming to find out, like, it might be a lot of work up front to get the systems in place. But in the long run, my gosh, I know like every season now, I have like a system for the podcast. So it's like every season now, it's like I know who I'm reaching out to. I have lists created, and then I have, a reach out letter or message that I send, and then a response letter. Like all of that is system. It's not automated. I wish, but that's not, possible when you're reaching out to people on Instagram, Facebook, email, all that stuff. So it's like everything is just kept more simple, and it keeps everything organized too. So like when season 4 does roll around like it did tonight, it was like, okay, I know exactly who I need to call or contact. I know where all of those notes are for this upcoming season. And the hardest part is just getting the other person on Skype. It's like, that's literally, and it's not like anything against you. It's not anything against any other guest. It's not anything against, anyone, but it's against technology. And it's like, sometimes technology wants to work, sometimes it doesn't. And you got to just roll with the punches. And so it makes you more authentic. It makes you real. It makes you more relatable, if you will. And so when you are able to give gifts, like you were saying, and really that means something to someone, right? That's not just, willy-nilly happy, holidays or whatever.
Yeah, it's your first anniversary or your
exactly.
Or whatever.
Exactly.
It's not timed out where it looks, cheesy.
Right. And it's not, and you have time to think about those things with systems, right? If you don't have systems, you're at home writing notes or at the office writing notes, you're cramming a bunch of paperwork in last minute before, you have to bill insurance or do whatever. But with systems and cash and all this stuff, it's easy. And then you get to care for the patient not only, but you also get to kind of be involved in their personal lives too, which I really enjoyed you saying, because I do think there are a handful of docs who actually do these things. And then there are those handfuls, like you said, there's that black curtain that you walk in and it's like, whoa, this isn't what you said on stage, right? Like this isn't how this goes, right? But I'm glad, kudos to you, I guess, for being up there talking to us about all this stuff. I don't know.
I think that's when like those are the people who get imposter syndrome,
Yes.
And that's why it's nice to not have that when you know what you're doing. And, it's hard because you don't want to get an ego about it. And I've never felt like I need to come out and say like my numbers and my collections. But then when you hear other doctors and you're like, whoa, you're on stage and my collections are 3 times yours or whatever. It's like, damn, like that's when I'm like, I do need to step up and I do need to mentor. But I think as a student, so students listening, like doctors will share. We will share systems. We will share checklists. We will share that sort of stuff. I was blessed. I used Platinum. And so as a student, I was in 3 different clinics that had Platinum software. So I knew how to use it before I got. I'm so grateful I own it. You know, it's like I own it outright, so I don't even have to worry about like them going out of business or whatever. But those checklists and those systems were already made, so I just modified it for our practice, but it didn't take a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then follow up then is another thing I'd say, Johnny, you should use. Have you heard of follow up then?
No.
So like if you send an email to me and you said you needed my bio by a week before, whatever it was, and you're sending that to me 2 weeks ahead, you can go on to follow up then. It'll auto put in, I don't know, all these email addresses into your account. It's super simple, the first setup. But essentially, you send it to me, and then you also will BCC 1 week at followupthen.com. But that will auto pop up for you. It's not like you're typing all of that.
Right.
Anytime you're like, oh my God, I don't want to remember that I need to go back to Dr. Elise to get her bio if I don't hear from her. Like, I don't want to plug that into my calendar. That's annoying. Because then if I do hear back from her, you know, then I don't need to even worry about that. So follow up then will just shoot you an email. So a week later or 3 days later, you can say 2 hours later, whatever it is so helpful.
That's awesome. I will definitely look into that for sure. I love new things like that. When I discovered Buffer, I was like, what? This is amazing. Because I used Hootsuite, I think, for a while. And then Hootsuite couldn't do as much as I would like it to do. And so I kind of went and played with some other ones, and Buffer seemed to be the one that I liked the most. But there's like you named like 6 earlier. So there's a ton of them out there. So Doc, before we get to closing remarks, I want to thank our last sponsors here. And then I want you to talk about a little bit about your job, and then we'll get you off of here and we will close this episode out. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Dr. Stu Hoffman, founder and president of Chiropractor Malpractice Insurance, is the foremost expert in both risk management and risk avoidance. Understanding the everyday challenges of today's practicing chiropractor and the current public perception of chiropractic has made ChiroSecure the fastest growing malpractice insurance program of the last 28 years. Find out more at chirosecure.com. The IFCO is here to support you. Whether you are a chiropractic student, doctor of chiropractic organization, or member of the public, the International Federation of Chiropractors and Organizations is here for you. They recognize and support your right to practice and receive vertebral subluxation-centered chiropractic care and are here to ensure that right and spread access to that care throughout the world. Head to ifcochiro.org/legendary for more. Be sure to give our friends over at Chiro Hustle a listen. They are bringing together some of the biggest names in the profession and learning from the greats. Chiro Hustle creates a safe space where chiropractic leaders share their stories and their passions with the world. Let's get hustling by heading to chirohustle.com now. Thank you for allowing this brief disruption to take place. And now back to the program. Sweet. All right, Doc. Thank you so much for those watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for watching this on replay, listening to this on audio podcast, whatever you might do to get the Legendary Chiropractor podcast in front of you and in your ears. So, Doc, please close us out. Tell us what students need to know, what docs need to know, and then last but not least, share a little bit about your available position.
Okay. Well, I think everything we talked about, like all of your recaps were pretty awesome. I think the biggest thing for me is knowing your core values, and every system that you put in your office, you're setting up your marketing calendar, who you're connecting with as far as your collaborations and influencers, all comes down to like what aligns with you and what feels good for you and what feels in integrity for you. So I think figuring out your core values is so important because it helps you make decisions in every aspect of your life, personal or professional. And then, yeah, so we are hopefully bringing on another doctor at the end of the year. I didn't really talk a lot about the practice, but we have a beautiful facility. I'll say that it's 4,800 square feet, chandeliers, just modern and super cute to work in. And we currently have 3 female doctors, and the next doctor can be any gender, any of anything, all inclusive, like I said. But we are a family practice. So we all have extensive experience in pediatrics and prenatal care. We get a lot of referrals from OBs and midwives. So pregnancy care is really important. And then we also do corrective care for adults. So we are taking x-rays. We're doing scans on kiddos. So we've got the specialization there, but then also we're really strong adjusters. So it is not a tonal technique or something that's going to be simple on your body. It's something that takes a lot of skill to learn how to adjust like this so that your patients do see correction on x-ray too. And then also really gentle adjustments and nervous system focused adjustments on kiddos to be able to see those results on scans and then in their lives as well. So we'd love to bring another doctor on by the end of the year, and then possibly another one in the future year in 2022. Really great salary. It's not, something where it's a low salary and then a commission or anything like that where you don't know what to expect each month. Great benefits. So we do retirement. We have long-term and short-term disability. So your maternity coverage is covered if you are going on a maternity leave. And gosh, we have other benefits on there too as well. But it's kind of nice to be able to get your license is paid for, your malpractice is paid for, your continuing education is paid for. Like, we really try to make it a win-win situation overall too.
Awesome. I absolutely love it. And if you haven't seen, just look up at Impact Chiropractic Fort Collins on Facebook, on Google, whatever. The office is immaculate. You have to check it out. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I want to quickly give a shout out to Dr. Heather Parks, who is now working for you, which is absolutely amazing. She was a great friend here at Life University, and I know she's absolutely crushing it in your office because you've given her the opportunity to do so. So I appreciate you for that. And her, Dr. Elise's email is at the bottom of the screen, Dr. Elise at impact-chiropractic.com. So you can email her, professionally reach out and say, hey, I'm interested in this. Can I have more details? Yes, anything like that. But yes, Dr. Elise, thank you so much for being on the show. You're absolutely amazing. Keep crushing it for chiropractic. Keep crushing it for Fort Collins, your community. And yeah, that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Well, thank you for doing this. I think what you're doing is just absolutely amazing for chiropractic students and for chiropractors too, and just for connecting us with students as well, and just keeping the philosophy, but also like the business aspect of chiropractic alive, because that's important for us to be able to get out and reach more and more individuals to have their lives be changed through chiropractic care. So what you're doing is seriously phenomenal. So I hope you take some pride in that too.
That means more than you'll ever know. Thank you so much for being on. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And thank you all for tuning in, watching on replay, and listening on the audio podcast. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.